Hello, everyone. Welcome to Claret and Booze. My name's Nick. This is a daily ramble. I hope you're all well. I feel all right today. I do, surprisingly enough. It's because we broke the back of the week. I think my mood naturally climbs towards Friday. I like that Friday feeling. I think you see, I'm like it's like a roller coaster with me. Sunday nights and Mondays and stuff like that. Me mood dips and then I pick up towards the weekend. But look, thank you to everyone that has jumped on board with us. And if you haven't, please do subscribe and drop a like on the video because it does really help us. The Kent and Sussex Tea and Coffee Company, our long-term channel sponsor. You'll see them up there. They're always there. They've been with us now for an awful long time. The guy run by a West Ham supporter called David. Brilliant products. We wouldn't support anyone that didn't provide really good products and good value as well. And they are, Pluckley tea is my favourite. I'm a bit conventional. I like a tea bag. But if you like your loose leaf stuff, they've got a massive range on there in terms of, as well as coffee beans from all over the world and whatever you need. Hot chocolate as well. Accessories, our 15% discount code, Claret15. That applies across the whole board. So go and support a local business. Like I said, they're really good. They don't expect me to do this all the time. And, which I don't. A couple of times a month is what I do. So go over and support them because it really, it's a bit of thanks for them supporting this channel as well. And the products are good. Okay. So, yeah, I've been a bit of a negative Nelly. I don't think there's any reason why you wouldn't be at the moment with West Ham, with this transfer window. I'm backing off completely, by the way, from transfers. I genuinely don't give a shit who we bring in now. And I care about who leaves. But I'm not invested in this. I haven't been a window, really. I kind of already had retired from transfer news. But I'm ignoring the noise, whatever. Once a player gets photographed in the shirt, then, then we'll talk about him and we'll welcome him in. Whoever it is, goalkeeper, midfielder, whatever. So there's no point. The season starts now in under 10 days against Sunderland. We've got Lille before then at the weekend. So on the whole, now, if I look at what my fear was coming into this window, my fear was that we were going to completely and utterly back Potter to do what I believe that he wanted to do, which was to rip it all up and start again. Now, based on what he's shown us in 6 months, there's a lot of you that ain't going to agree with this. Based on what he had shown us in 6 months, I wasn't in favour of it. I really weren't. I wanted to make sure that we retained a core of players. And I didn't think West Ham was going to do it. When we sold Kudus, I thought, oh no, that's it. We've broken the seal. They're all going to start going. But we haven't done that. We've retained the core of the players. In fact, we're better set now than what we was last year, if you look at it, really. We've got twice the Paqueta. We've got Aguirre back as well. That's another new player. We've got Potts coming into the first team already. And they look like we've got more togetherness now as well. So we've got to give Potter a big tick for that because he seems to have convinced players that otherwise wanted to leave, players like Aguirre, and it looks like Alvarez now is looking a lot happier to stay. So his work over the summer has been quite good. He's got youth players into the setup as well. Not talking about the football, I'm talking about the whole thing as a collective, looking at it from the top down. All right, we'll tackle the football and the style and everything else when it actually kicks off, because none of us really know what to expect. But yeah, like I said, that was my main fear, was that we was going to sell a load of players and be completely going into the unknown and throwing all of our eggs in the Potter basket when he hasn't earned it yet. If I was the owner of this football club, first and foremost, he wouldn't still be here. I'd have got rid of him. I would have got someone else in based on that 6 months. I would have. But if I was going to give him a chance, there is no way I would entirely back him. I'd be expecting to see something from him first because he is first and foremost a head coach. So my attitude with him would be, you've got 6 months. I'm going to stick with you. You've got 6 months to show me that you can do it. If you prove that you're the man, then in the next window and the windows after, we can mould this team around you and we'll go from there. But it's too much of a risk at the minute based on what you've shown me. Yes, there are valid things that people say about, there was disgruntlement in the camp. We had quite an old squad. And not really. He had a lot to choose from. He chose to pick the midfields that he picked. The game management weren't great. There was a lot of things that he could have done better. There was loads he could have done better. So for me, I'm happy with that. Could we have done more activity in a window and got more players in? Yes, we could have, and we still might. I don't know. But like I said, I don't care. My main concern was always players going out. So when I look at that and I go back to where I was before the window opened, I'm actually quite happy. I am. Like I said, you've got all of these young kids now that have come into the team, into the setup. I think we look good, and we're in a situation whereby I'm quite relaxed because although I don't expect Potter to do well, I want him to do well, and I hope he proves me wrong. But I don't expect him to. But I'm quite relaxed because although I don't overly believe in this manager, if it goes a way that I feel it might, I think we're still in a good position because we've got a group of players that could suit an abundance of managers. You know, we've still got wingers at the club. We've got a lot. I do think we need to add another midfielder. But I feel all right. I think we're okay. And if Potter fails, he fails, and someone else comes in and we can crack on, we can kick on. So in that respect, I feel West Ham are in a decent position. And Potter seems like he's in quite a good position now as well because pre-season it hasn't been a disaster. It's been good. Ignoring the results, if you look at the green shoots, there's been a lot of them. There has been. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens when we get to match day 1. It's going to be a difficult game against Sunderland. There's no two ways about it. Even any time going away to that stadium, you know, the Sunderland, the Stadium of Light. It's their first game back in the Premier League. It's going to be absolutely bouncing in there. They've bought a load of players. And although they've had the opposite pre-season to us, I think they've lost the last 4 or 5 games. It doesn't really mean much. It doesn't. Pre-season doesn't mean a lot. Once it gets competitive, that's when things change. So I have got my concerns. I've got my concerns about the way that we're playing. For instance, the wing-back system, I just feel like it's going to be a bit of a disaster. I don't back it. I think the idea is to pack the midfield and control the midfield. I can see teams just bypassing the midfield and going around the outside of us and overloading on the outside. I think that's what we'll see because we're not going to be offering too much of a threat based on what we've got at the moment and who he favours to start with in midfield, who are predominantly blockers and non-progressive. They're the types of players that he prefers. You haven't got too much of a threat going the other way. So if you can peg the wing-backs back and overload around the outside, I think that's going to be the tactic that we're going to see. I think we're going to be quite easy to play against. But I hope to be proven wrong. All right? That's just my fear. But we'll see what happens. But we're coming up against Lille next. And as I've said, I'm ignoring the transfer nonsense. So I'm basing it on what we've got. I'm basing our squad and our availability on what we've got now and then. As players get added, if they do, then we'll talk about it. Because I just can't be bothered with all the crap anymore. So I'd like to see, obviously... Areola is our number 1. I'd like to see him play. I'm not going to be petulant. We know he's going to play the back 3. So, fine. Play the back 3. You're going to have Tadebo on the right. I'd like to see, even though it is going to be Kilman. There's no point saying it. You know, Mavropanos isn't going to start. It's going to be Tadebo on the right, Kilman central, and it's going to be Aguero, who's looked really good. Look better and better on the left-hand side with Diouf. Left wing back, we're going to be seeing the imperious Aaron Wan-Bissaka at right wing back. Then I want to be seeing Edson Alvarez in the CDM with Potts. I would say those two with more of a rigid role and then free up Paqueta to be the magic man with Fulkrug and Bowen up front, who seem to be really building a good understanding there. Yet to see how they're going to use Callum Wilson. I suspect that Fulkrug and Wilson are going to share game time, because both of them have got their injury concerns, and maybe West Ham think as a club that they can manage those injuries by giving them, you know, reducing their game time, you know, half a game each or something like that. But I do think that Wilson will play a part. He will. I think we'll see him, if not against Lille, we'll see him against Sunderland, whether he starts or he comes on later on. I think we'll definitely see that. So, yeah, it's a really strange feeling that I've got at the moment. I've got this massive frustration with West Ham as a whole, a huge frustration with the way that we run, with the way that we, especially the IT. I mean, I'll tell you what, if there's one thing that West Ham could do to improve things, it's to cut off the ITKs from the senior sources. People at board level should not be talking to anyone else and filtering news out to the club. The most granular detail, they should cut that off, because all that does is build up a frenzy and a fanfare throughout transfer windows. It does. It's, you know, it gets people at each other's throats. Stuff that we don't need to know. for instance, you know, if you do look at the transfer window as a whole, Russ Budden's keeping a running list of 200 players that we've been linked with in this window. Do we really need to know players that West Ham like? Oh yeah, West Ham like that player. When we should know about a player is with what Romano did the other day, where it's moved beyond the we like him and it's feasible and we can do that deal. That's when we should know, when West Ham are about to place an offer for a player. That's news. Everything else isn't. That's not news, but it's kind of made news by West Ham media. That and like I said, I've got to do my best to block it out. It's really difficult to do so because, you know, when stories leak from certain sources, it just spreads like wildfire, and you can't avoid it. But like I said, for me, for the rest of the window, I don't care. Got my fingers in my ears. Whatever goalkeeper we sign, whatever, it's a goalkeeper, you know, and whatever midfielder we sign, I do care about because that's an important position. But we'll face that when it happens. We know it's going to be, and I won't be happy. But I'm not going to get excited yet because it hasn't happened. All right, it hasn't happened. Yeah, so roll on the weekend. That's what I want to see against Lille, and I think we'll win. Apparently, I think it's a sellout, isn't it? The weekend at home, so we'll see our first team. We'll definitely get to see exactly how we're going to be approaching this season. So yeah, it's exciting. You know, football's back. There's no point, you know, guessing anymore. There's no point worrying anymore because it is what it is. We are where we are, and we're going to see where we are on the 16th of August at around about 5 o'clock. Is it a 3 o'clock kickoff? I don't know. Well, after the game, we'll kind of know where we are based on the performance and the result and everything else, because we've got a very difficult 4 games following that. And I don't think we can afford to start slow. I don't. Yeah. So look, anyway, that is it from me. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, drop a like on the video. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. Speak to you all soon. Come on, you Irons.